Okay.
Rob, did you feel at 27-16 the way everybody celebrated? It felt like you'd broken the back of that gun.
It was a big try. It was a big try as well, though, wasn't it? It was a well scored, really good, great try. Obviously, a very emotive moment, but it's like when they get the game swung backwards and forwards. I mean, in a lot of ways, it was a fantastic game of rugby. I think the one thing we regret is we just didn't seize probably those moments of control when we grabbed them, because pretty quickly we lost the ball. And I think on the restart, chipped off short. We didn't regather it, and then we scored against. And we've kind of got to try and rebuild. And yeah, I can stand here and give you all my kind of thoughts on the game, but there is a reality that I think we've stepped forward considerably from the final last year. What I've got to do now with this group of players is kind of convince them that if they keep working hard in the right direction, that if you can take the European champions and comfortable European champions in a way that close, then obviously there's got to be more in Europe for us. And if we can continue the rate of improvement that I can see in the team at the moment, that we should be back here challenging next year. And that's an interesting challenge for us to start talking about already. That we want to be top four, we want to be finalists, we want to be doing well in Europe. But there is a reality now. There's nothing else for us to talk about. You know, when you're finalist 3 years and lose, and you win it once, you can't talk any other way than we're going to try and win it next year. And we shouldn't be talking any other way than we've got to try and find a way of powering our way through our European group. And those things feel closer to me now. Ironically, you know, despite we've lost, they feel closer to me than they did this time last year, because there was nothing in that game that made me think, you know, we weren't able to go toe to toe with Saracens. There's moments, of course there is, and there's things we can work on. And you know, I look at some of the key input from some of our young players, and I can only see them getting better for today's experience if they use it in the right way.
Rob, what was the extent of Jack's injury?
It's a little early to say. I'm personally be able to catch up with either him or the medics who are dealing with him. I would imagine it'd be the usual story until he has a scan. I mean, it looked like an ankle, didn't it? And he's had a couple of ankle issues this season. I would imagine until we probably get a scan, it's going to be a little hard to thoroughly assess.
How do you go about beating Saracens? Because nobody else seems to be able to do it here.
Well, I think we showed everyone how to beat them for 60 minutes, didn't we? And then we probably showed people how hard it is then, even when you've got a lead, if you kind of go cagey and managey in the wrong way, they can probably outmanage you through a little period and regain momentum. And that's what they probably did at the start of that last 20 minutes. There was a period around in the middle third of the field where it got a bit to and fro, and they started to win the to and fro, and that slowly created the squeeze that we weren't able to break out of. But listen, we found space, didn't we? We found space out on that rugby field today, and we found momentum on the edges. Yeah, it was there. 5 metres out, we looked almost as dangerous as ever. I think, you know, we'll look back and probably rue kicking a penalty just before half time and not smacking in a try. You know, there was an opportunity to smack a try in there, and we just came up a little bit short and ended up with a penalty. You know, there were times out there where, you know, we could have had them more. At the same time, there was a couple of overlaps out there that I saw happening from Saracens, and if they'd have been absolutely ruthless, they could have opened up as well. It was one of those games where I think the lads should feel very proud of, as I say, of how close they've come to beating Saracens and beating them in a good game of rugby as well.
Rob, just on Jack, given the way he was playing, it must have been quite a gutting way to see him leave.
He was outstanding today, wasn't he? Very difficult to put on the floor, very strong, quick, elusive. I thought himself, I thought Ollie Devoto looked a real game breaker for us today as well. It's fantastic to see him stand up like that in a big game, and that's something I knew we would see from him at some stage when we signed him, and he's just absolutely accelerated in his development. Obviously Henry's good again. You know, Joe Simmons was a far better, more accomplished player today than he was this time last year. That's great for us. You know, I can kind of go through the individuals, and they've all stepped up their progress, which is great for us, because other than in that pack of forwards, probably other than Dave Dennis, they're probably all still on the upward curve, just age-wise, and Dave will probably tell me off for saying that he's not as well. So we had a good group of guys out and available at the end of the season there, and we can keep those guys on the field this stage of the season next year, some big games, and we're going to be a real handful for anybody.
Rob, people talk about this Saracens team, and they're talking about this Saracens team as the best English club team of all time. Do you have an opinion on that?
Well, they probably are. You know, I mean, the record speaks for itself, doesn't it? You know, they're winning Premierships, they're winning European Cups. It feels to me like we're probably disappointed we haven't beaten them today. So that bodes well for where the Chiefs stand as well, I think.
What's your own thoughts on it, Jack? Obviously you were out there in the middle of the mayhem.
Yeah, it was bar the kind of the chaotic first 5 minutes of the game. You know, I'd say we felt kind of in charge in a lot of areas. You know, particularly when we started to play a bit. Rob spoke about that kind of tricky middle third, and I think when we really went there, particularly towards the end of that first half, you know, we were causing them some problems, and then our 5-metre attack as well. You know, we went in there and we spoke about it before about being a bit bloody minded when we got there. To be you know, fair to the forwards and the backs that joined in, it was successful. Got a lot of joy out of it, and there was that feeling. That was the big kind of thing we spoke about before as well, is the belief. So yeah, and then we spoke about that try in the second half that we got and extended our lead a bit, and it got a little bit too grey as to what we were doing. And you know, but again, you've got to give full credit to Saracens there for making it difficult for us, for putting us under pressure, and they kind of squeezed us into making a few little mistakes that grew and grew. And ultimately, it's given them possession in the right areas and enabled them to score.
Jack, does it feel different to last year, that kind of disheartening of not getting your shots away last year?
I'd say yes, in the fact that we felt a lot more in charge within this game. You know, last year we were always chasing something, whereas this year we definitely, well, I mean, the scoreboard says obviously we had the lead, but we were a lot more assertive in what we were doing. I'd say there was a lot more dominance in there as well. You know, our D was pretty good as well once we kind of figured out what they were doing. So yeah, we definitely were more assertive with ourselves and much more dominant today in large periods of that game.